기자부대! Hamon the beat!
This will be the second in my new series of videos going in-depth on JoJo's music references. As you probably know, I previously made a series of videos showcasing these references with the songs. However, due to copyright over the years, the videos have become progressively shorter, making them far less interesting to watch. However, I think now is a great opportunity to take a much deeper look at the references, show off some of the smaller details, and patch up any I've happened to have missed along the way. This time we'll be focusing on the second part, Battle Tendency. I think this part is unique in that it has maybe the least amount of music references across the series, and for many of them there isn't as much to talk about as in the first part. However, I do have some extra things to share that deal with references made by the anime. Before that though, let's not waste any more time and get right to the main references. Our first reference comes with the introduction of Joseph's friend Smokey Brown. Most likely his name is a combination of the musicians Smokey Robinson and James Brown. We don't know this one for sure, but Araki seems to know a lot about James Brown due to repeated references to him made in Part 7. Next is Donovan, the Nazi soldier Joseph briefly battled in the Mexico desert. He's likely based on the Scottish musician Donovan. Santana, the first Pillar Man encountered in the story, is named after the band Santana and of course its lead guitarist Carlos Santana. The rest of the Pillar Men are similarly based on bands. Wamu is based on the English pop duo Wham. SEDC is based on the band AC/DC, one of Araki's most referenced bands. Cars is based on the American band The Cars. Lisa Lisa is based on the American singer of the same name, who was the lead in the freestyle music group Lisa Lisa and Cult Jam. Air Suplena Island, which is where Joseph and Caesar trained under Lisa Lisa, is a reference to the Australian band Air Supply. Loggins and Messina are based on the musicians Kenny Loggins and Jim Messina, who Araki seems to have referenced before in Part 1. Susie Q is an interesting one since she's something of a double reference. First of all, Susie Q is the name of a song by Dale Hawkins from 1957 and famously covered by Creedence Clearwater Revival in 1968. However, if we take a look at the JoJo 6251 art book, Susie's full name is listed as Susie Quattro, the name of a different singer, making her a reference to both. Susie is also given this name in the JoJo OVA timeline, which was a recap of the first two parts that was included with the Stardust Crusaders OVAs. The Red Stone of Aja is named after Aja, a song and album by the band Steely Dan, who Araki would go on to reference many times. In the scene when Joseph is saved from falling into the ravine, his line, "Nice, nice, very nice," may be a reference to the song of the same name by the band Ambrosia. Here's one that's a little bit more specific. Araki's style in these early parts is heavily influenced by the art of the Puerto Rican fashion illustrator Antonio Lopez, and he can be seen making repeated homages to the designs and poses of his art. The makeup and facial structure of this illustration of Caesar seems to be based on this illustration from the art book Antonio's People, depicting the musician Billy Idol. The vampire character Wired Beck, who Joseph and Lisa Lisa briefly encounter in the abandoned hotel, is a reference to the musician Jeff Beck and his album Wired. Here's a couple more art-related ones. In the chapter describing the backstory of Cars, the backgrounds are based on illustrations by Roger Dean, who is known for working on the album covers of Yes and Asia. This first one is based on a piece called Views from 1975. The second is based on the alternate cover for the album Yesterdays by Yes. In the final moments of the story, Joseph is seen listening to a cassette tape of the Beatles on his Walkman. Now for the extra references we could see in the anime. These actually come from the OST. First with the name of the tracks Elephant Talk 1 and 2. These are a reference to the song Elephant Talk from the album Discipline by King Crimson. Next in Welcome to the World, in the beginning you can hear the song sample the guitar intro of Owner of a Lonely Heart by Yes. Speaking of Yes, as you're surely already aware, parts 1 and 2 of the anime use the song Roundabout by Yes as their credits theme. That's all the music references we have to cover today. I think I can pretty confidently say that for this series, this is going to be the shortest of the videos. I think the main reason for that just comes down to the amount of returning characters from Part 1 like Speedwagon and Arena, as well as the Zeppeli name returning for Caesar, essentially leaving out some spaces for new references. Regardless, I did actually cover some things I hadn't before, like those anime OST references and the art ones. Next time, however, we definitely won't be short on time, since Part 3 has far more references and definitely a lot more to talk about when it comes to the finer details. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to keep up with the channel, and join the Hamon Beat Discord to receive updates on new videos and JoJo news. I'd also appreciate if you can support the channel on Patreon. You can receive Discord perks and the opportunity to submit questions. This video's question comes from Blitzwolf. They ask, what is something I think the JoJo anime did better than the manga? Well, good timing, since I actually think the 2012 anime that adapted parts 1 and 2 were better. These were my first ever exposure to JoJo back when the anime hadn't gotten to part 3. I think they're well paced, have a great cast, have music that I think stands above the rest of the adaptation's OSTs, and had a very good balance between having a unique art style but still one that didn't stray too far from the original. Overall, I think the 2012 anime was the one that did the most to improve the experience, and while I love all of the anime's seasons, each one did have their specific flaws that held them back from overtaking the source material. If you want to submit a question, you can join my Patreon at any tier and leave a post in the Member Posts tab. You can submit as many questions as you want, so don't feel shy about asking. Thank you for watching. This is the part of the video where I thank my $5 and up patrons. Thank you to Alex Ramirez, Doorbell, Crayon, Rigovids, Sukato, Pumpkin Doge, Marrow, Almighty Quarth, Cowrie, Gatling Grove, Lime Jinjo, 17-Hit Combo, Sponge Cake, Cakext, Feliciano Rabaja, Rayana Meme, Christian McDonough, Navi, Emmanuel Etienne, Pulse Dog, Great Riek, D, Dr. Zombie, and Carmo